Hey coach, I'm glad you're here because in this video, I'm going to ask you to do a bit of self-reflection. I want to start by asking you to really think about why it is that you create content. And I want you to really think about this. Don't just tell me the answer that you think I want to hear. And don't list the reasons that you think you need to create content. But why is it that you actually create content? Or if you're not creating content currently, why is it that you want to create content? Most coaches or most content creators are going to say that they need to do this for their business, and they're absolutely right. So I often hear answers like, to grow my audience, to engage potential viewers, to create lead flow, to attract qualified clients, to stay relevant, to stay top of mind. And none of those reasons are wrong. But here's what I've noticed over the years of working with coaches and in my own content creation journey. The coaches who build something real, something meaningful, the ones who are still fired up about creating 5 years in, who have a body of work that they're proud of that compounds over time, who can attract new clients without having to chase them. They have a fundamentally different relationship with content. They're not creating just to get more clients. They're creating because it makes them a better coach, because it helps them clarify what they actually believe, because it extends their impact beyond their current client roster, and because all of that work, the consistent, intentional, belief-driven effort, also happens to be the most sustainable path to a full client roster. Mastery, meaning, and money in that order. And that's what today's episode is about. And I believe that by the end of it, you're not going to look at content creation the same way again. Let's get into it. Let's start with mastery because it's my favorite and I know it's your personal and professional aim. You're a professional coach and you take your craft very seriously. You're the kind of person who reads, who studies, who's constantly learning, who's always reflecting and striving to get that 1% better every single day. Content creation is one of the most powerful tools for accelerating that growth. Here's why. Content creation forces you to do something that most people avoid. It forces you to get very clear on exactly what you believe. You can't fake it. You can't be vague. You can't coast on general principles and common knowledge. When you sit down to actually make a piece of content, a video, a podcast episode, a short form post with real perspective, you have to know your stuff. You have to be able to articulate yourself clear enough so that a cold viewer who doesn't know you can follow it, feel it, and leave with something they didn't have before. And that pressure is a gift. Think about what happens when you really prepare to teach something. You don't just review the information. You stress test it. You find the gaps in your own understanding. You discover the parts that you can explain clearly and the parts that are maybe fuzzy. You realize what you actually believe about the topic and not just what everyone says. And then you publish it and you watch it back. And that's the part I want to sit on for a second. The game tape. In sport, elite athletes always watch film, not to torture themselves by how they didn't perform, but to actually learn how to get better and what to do different, to gain clarity on the actual performance, to ask, what did I miss? What move did I not make? And then they go back into practice with new levels of awareness. Your content is your game tape. Every video you publish is a rep that you can replay. You can watch and listen back and ask yourself, did I communicate clearly? Did I actually connect with my ideal viewer? Did I meet them where they're at? Did my actual coaching perspective come through? Could I have gone deeper? Was that the best version of this idea? And then the next time, you do it better. And the time after that, even better. This is how content becomes a mastery practice, not just a marketing practice. Most coaches think about their content as the thing they have to do to be visible. But if you want to stay in this game for the long haul and you want to continue your aim for mastery, this perspective shift changes everything. Because yes, you're creating content to serve your ideal viewer and eventually build enough trust that those viewers qualify themselves and become clients. But the bigger reason is for yourself, for you to get clear, for you to gain confidence, and for you to become a better coach. And when you use every piece of content as a mirror that shows you where you're strong and where you still need to grow, it's really powerful. And as a professional coach, content is also a monetizable path to mastery. So there's even more incentive. But I want you to flip the order. Don't think about money first. Mastery, meaning, and then money. Content creation isn't just about the money. It needs to be more about the mastery. The two are very connected. The deeper your mastery, the better the content performs. The deeper the mastery, the better the content converts. The more your content converts, the more clients that come your way. The more clients you work with, the more mastery you develop, and the more you can put back into your content. This loop is something I believe in so passionately. I'm telling you, as a marketer with 23 years of experience leading brands of all sizes, this little project that I've invested in over the last 9 months has made me a much better marketer. It's forced me to get really clear on what is actually working, what is effective, what is sustainable, what do I believe? And it's made me a much better teacher of the things that I know. So I believe that using content to achieve your aim of mastery and staying in this loop is where the best coaches are going to live. And you can enter it at any point, but you have to start creating. The second layer is meaning. And this one really matters because what I know about most coaches who get into coaching, it's because they genuinely care about having a positive impact on other people's lives. Here's the reality around any coaching practice. Your direct impact is limited by your client roster. And when I say limited, I mean in terms of reach, because it's not limited. You're going to go deep with every single one of your clients, but the amount of people that you can impact is limited. I have seen many coaches with rosters over 100 clients, but you have the ability to impact even more people through your content. Your core client roster, the people that you serve incredibly deeply, the ones that you individualize, the level of attention and engagement and personalization that they get from you is the most impactful. The level of impact created by a professional coach-client relationship is immeasurable. That's where the magic really occurs. But it is finite. Your ideas, your perspective, your coaching knowledge, your beliefs around the impact that fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle has on everyone, that is not limited to your client roster. Content creation lets you put all of that thinking out into the world in a way that reaches the client who's sitting alone trying to figure it out. The potential client who doesn't even know you exist yet, but is looking for exactly what you teach. The person scrolling on a random Tuesday morning whose beliefs about fitness, about what is possible for them, about what kind of coaching they actually deserve, can be deeply impacted because of something you said. And you don't need 50,000 followers. You need a couple hundred views from the right future clients, from the people who need the specific thing that you coach, from someone who can create real change in their life. That's impact. And for coaches who are genuinely motivated by their aim for mastery and their aim for impact, that should mean something. Think about the coaches who've shaped your career, the mentors, the educators, the people whose ideas have changed how you think, how you train, and how you coach. Were all of those direct coaching relationships? Probably not. Some of them were a book, a talk, a webinar, a video, a conference, a conversation you overheard at a seminar, networking. Ideas travel. And when your ideas are grounded in your real coaching, your real experience, and your honest conviction, they travel too. Content is how you multiply your impact without multiplying your hours. There's something else worth mentioning here. Creating content in public about the things that you believe deeply is a professional commitment. It's you saying out loud on record, this is what I stand for. This is how I coach. These are the results I deliver. This is what I believe. This is how those beliefs have helped many people. And that public professional commitment sharpens your identity as a coach. It brings to life your coaching content signature, the framework that I've designed for you to get really clear on your content strategy, your voice, and how you deliver. It makes it not just a document that you create and store, but a living practice, a living body of work that you're building piece by piece. And over time, that body of work becomes something that your ideal client will find exactly what they're looking for, binge like crazy, and pre-decide that you're the coach for them. That's not selfish ambition. That's not vanity. That's not feeding your ego. That's reach in service of meaning. All right, now let's talk about money, because this is where coaching philosophy meets business. Content pre-sells. It takes this icky thing that you don't love, sales, and makes it easy. When someone has spent real time with you through your content, not a scroll or a passive like, but actual time watching you coach through your content, hearing your perspective, seeing your proof, something happens. The sales conversation changes. It stops being a convincing conversation and it becomes confirmation. They already know how you think. They already understand your approach. They already believe in your results. They've already decided if they click with you. By the time they actually reach out, they're not unsure. They're ready. And your job is simply to confirm fit and get started. This is the trust formula at work. Binge time times targeted relevance times actionable content equals trust. And trust is what makes the money move. Not clever funnels, not pressure tactics, not perfectly worded call to action copy. The library of content that you build starting today. That content is working for you 6 months from now, a year from now. When someone discovers your content, binge watches several episodes, and DMs you asking if you're accepting new clients, that's not hypothetical. That's the buyer-led binge model in action. And it runs because you've built your coaching content library, the body of work that reflects how you coach that you're actually proud of. And here's another thing about coaching through your content and money that we often underestimate. It compounds. Every piece you add to your library builds momentum, increases the likelihood that someone finds you or goes deeper. Your 10th video makes your first video more valuable. Your 20th piece makes the whole archive more valuable. It's not just linear, one piece doing one thing. It's the body of work building your authority, building your influence. And in a mature market, which we know we're in, that compounding body of work is the most powerful competitive advantage a coach can have. Other coaches can copy your offer. They can copy a post format. They can try to replicate your topics. They can't copy 10 years of consistent, belief-driven, coaching-informed content created by you. That's yours. That's your intellectual property. Built in public, one video at a time. Content is a monetizable path to mastery for a professional coach. The mastery develops through the reps. The meaning comes from the impact those reps have. And the money follows because trust is the currency. Trust creates the transaction. Content is the most efficient way to achieve scale, whatever scale looks like for you. And these three things are not in competition with each other. They're the same pursuit looked at from three different angles. But when your content creation is rooted in your aim for mastery, in what you actually know, in what you actually believe, what your coaching practice has actually taught you, and the results of those you've impacted, it has meaning. And content with meaning builds trust. And trust builds the business. I know I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I do want to be clear. This podcast, Marketing for Fitness Coaches, is this framework in practice for me. Each week, I'm actually doing the things that I'm teaching you guys. For me in this show, with Carl in his show, and a lot of these things I also apply to the rest of our business with OPEX Education and CoachRx. Every episode I record for you, I get clearer on what I believe about marketing for the professional fitness coach. I get better at communicating complex ideas. I challenge my own thinking. I'm proving results. I get better at teaching inside the OPEX method. I find the edges of what I know, and then I bring it back here and I put it into action with you in another episode. Every time I teach, in between OPEX method mentorships, I release 10 to 15 episodes, and I bring new ideas into the mentorship and go deeper with the coaches in that program. My hope is that it has an impact on our industry and the way that our industry thinks about marketing and sales. This show has made me a better marketer and a better educator. Full stop. And it's also brought coaches into my world that I get to have conversations with, that I get to help on some level, and some that become students of the OPEX Method mentorship, some that start using CoachRx. It's built this tight-knit community of a couple hundred coaches that I'm super excited to support, not because I optimize for that, but because the work is real and I care a lot. And I'm pushing myself to aim for mastery. The work is finding the right coaches. They're gaining value. They're learning to love marketing. And that's incredibly fulfilling for me. That's the version of content creation that I want for you. Not something that feels like a chore or a task or that you're intimidated by, but something that you enjoy, something that lights you up, something that you're excited to do each week. So the shift that I want to leave you with in this video is let's stop thinking about content creation as strictly a path to gaining clients and growing our business. And let's start creating content to become the coach that future clients deserve to find. Those two intentions produce very different content. The first one makes you cautious, maybe anxious, and maybe a little performative. You're calculated in every video. You're chasing responses. You're measuring yourself on how many views or only what converted. The second one makes you generous. You're teaching because you have something to say. You have passion to share. You have impact to create. You're teaching because you have something to say. You're showing up because you believe the person on the other side of the screen is going to be better off when they watch this video. You're building something, a body of work, your coaching philosophy made visible, a practice of getting better and aiming for mastery. And approaching it this way actually creates better content, which builds more trust, which converts more clients, which grows the business. The clients come as a result, but not as the goal. Coaching through your content is marketing, and marketing is part of your practice. Every great coaching practice is built in the pursuit of mastery. So here's what I want you to do this week. Pull up one of your most recent videos, watch it back, use it as game tape, not to cringe at yourself, not to judge yourself, but to actually get better, to ask, what did I communicate well? Where could I go deeper? What do I actually believe more clearly now after I made that video? That's the game tape practice. One rep this week and create that video again. That's the game tape practice. You've got one rep prescribed this week. And if you want access to the coaching content signature GPT that I've made for you to get started building your foundation, it's like you and I having a one-on-one consult, but you're in the GPT that I built for you. Hit me in the DMs on Instagram and I'll send it your way. And if you want more help surrounded by a small group of your peers, working with me one-on-one to build your content strategy and your marketing system, then you have to enroll in the OPEX method and spend 10 weeks with me, with Carl, and the rest of the OPEX team, going deep, aiming for mastery, building a practice that you want to live inside of, and exiting that 10-week mentorship, not only as a better coach, but with the tools that you need to run your practice in CoachRx and execute a marketing system that you actually enjoy, that you can sustain, and that will allow you to continue to pursue mastery, coaching through your content. Thanks for listening to Marketing for Fitness Coaches, the show that makes marketing a part of your practice, not a task that you avoid. If this episode landed for you, I would appreciate it if you share it with a coach friend. I want to have more impact. I want more coaches seeing this content. I want more coaches falling in love with marketing. I want to shift more beliefs. So help me do that. If you have any questions at all, hit me on Instagram in the DMs. I'm here to help. Friendly reminder, I am doing April Marketing for Fitness Coaches office hours. That is free. I'll drop the link in the description below. You can register and join live, or you'll get the recording if you can't make it live. This show is part of the CoachRx podcast network, a collection of shows produced by your peers who are committed to elevating the coaching conversation. Keep coaching, keep creating, and I will catch you back next week with a new episode.